Akintade Adebayo, or Tade as he is affectionately known, was born on the 1st of July 1996 to a young, happy, expectant couple, Felicia and Akin Adebayo. Newly married and happily expecting the birth of their first son, Tade brought overwhelming joy to his entire family when he was born.
We were very, very happy when Akintade was born. I knew he was going to be a boy, and it's always been my dream to have a boy as a first child, because I've got 3 sisters, we're 4 girls from my mom. So I was very, very happy. His dad was happy, and everyone was, excited.
Following a difficult but otherwise uneventful birth, Tade's growth and development was perfectly fine and in keeping with every child his age. He was a happy, healthy baby with smiles for everyone and lived as willfully as most boys his age. That is, until around 18 months when his mother noticed a peculiar change in him.
When he was born, it was a very, very traumatic birth because I was in labor for like 2-3 days. So he had to be taken to intensive care immediately. We didn't have any problem with that because we weren't in hospital. He wasn't ill at any point until when he had his MMR. Exactly 18 months he had the MMR, and when he had the MMR, he was ill. He started developing serious temperature. We had to go to Barnet Hospital. We were there for like 2 weeks because they had to keep watching him to see that he doesn't go into fit. We noticed that he wasn't sleeping. He would cry. He will cry non-stop. So by that time, the information around now about autism wasn't around then. So it was very difficult to really diagnose autism. Even my brother-in-law, the doctors, and they couldn't. It was very difficult.
What followed next was a flurry of doctor's appointments, visits, research, and dealing with a toddler who cannot explain himself or his problems, nor can his parents, who are yet to understand what ails their son.
At one time, there's this mother's instinct that was telling me, because I kept comparing him with other children of his age, even with delayed language. He wouldn't sit still. He started running about. It was difficult to stay in church. The one particular thing that really stuck to me is anytime we enter a shop, or maybe taking him to Sainsbury, he will start screaming, and I had to, as soon as we go out of the shop, he'll calm down. So life became very difficult at that time. It was very difficult for me to concentrate. So I knew that there was something much more than delayed language. So everybody tells me that, he's going to talk. I went to speech therapy, we went to play therapy. He wouldn't play with anybody, he wouldn't look at you.
Finally, through research, studies, and reading, Tade's mother began to piece things together.
Akintade lost his language. He started losing his language after the MMR. The last word to go was no. Because before he was born, even at his first birthday, we were singing to him, "Go Daddy," he was saying "Daddy, Mommy," things like that. So I was thinking, you don't lose what you've acquired, you gain more.
But as well as dealing with a child with needs, she had to deal with the public's reaction to her son's condition as well.
I had to develop a very thick skin, because initially people will look at you as if you're a bad parent when he's running around, especially at the airports, like the kind of look you get. But eventually, you know what? I just found out that if I think about every look, I won't be able to get on with my life. I developed a thick skin and I focused on my child.
With the dawning of a son's needs comes the battle for finding him the best possible education she can. Tade's mom recounts the experience as a difficult battle that was emotionally, physically, and financially draining on all the family. The process was tedious and the duration of each battle won was limited.
Yes, because Barnet, there are other special schools provide provision, and even though they're not autistic focused, so they said I could take my child to any other school in Barnet. They're not going to fund that placement of ABA because it's a waste of council resources when they have other schools. The reason, and I had to explain and write to them and then tell them that this is what will happen if Akintade doesn't get that funding, and then start at an early age this intervention. And I had to demonstrate to them, demonstrate to the panel how Akintade was able to sit down within a very short period of time for me paying for those placements. So that was the reason the council said they're not funding it. After several interventions and everything, on the day we were supposed to go to the tribunal, the council agreed to fund Akintade. I fought very hard to get Akintade into Tree House. We had to go through a lot. After Tree House, we had a lot of problems getting him again to go to Ambitious College. Ambitious College is an offshoot of Tree House because they identify that you need to teach them in certain way in order for them to generalize the skills they have learned. So Ambitious College started, we were lucky again, it started when Akintade turned 16. Akintade was one of the first few sets that started Ambitious College, and the law changed that you should make provision for them to stay in education till age 19. In fact, when Akintade was going to Ambitious College, Akintade was at home for like 6 months. I still had to get an advocate to be able to, so I had to pay the legal fee. We were writing letters here and there. After 6 months, they agreed again that Akintade should go to Ambitious College. They agreed to fund Ambitious College.
With lack of centres and enough qualified carers to take care of Tade within Barnet, Tade's mother's next move, after exhausting all possible avenues for continuous education for her son, was to open and fund an autism centre.
Well, Tade Autism Centre is a day centre and a supported living for adults and teens with living with autism. Because so much has been said about children, nobody focused on the teenagers and adults, and that's when it becomes difficult. There's no provision for somebody like my son in Barnet. So I decided to start Tade Autism Centre. We have a centre, very nice base for them, just to practice they practice their cooking. So it's a place for them to go. And then in partnership with BEAM, their ABA specialists, they work with these young adults there. They have activities, they go out during the day, if they choose whatever they want to do.
Now she's on a quest to raise money for the Tade Autism Centre and her charity Autism Treatment Support Initiative to help create more spaces for other young autistic adults.
Did you get funding? Are you joking? We didn't get any funding. Tade Autism Centre is actually, that building is actually our home. That was where Akintade grew up. So we had to convert it because of Akintade. I've always had that in mind because we knew, thinking back, we've always known that there will be nothing and we don't want to part with Akintade. Maybe they will take him to somewhere in another borough. So we didn't want that. So we had to make that sacrifice using our home for Tade Autism Centre. My vision for Tade Autism Centre is for more able children that are able to further, Asperger's or anything, that are able to further their education. We have programming lesson there, teaching them how to program in a very relaxed way, and then they will have a respite. Most parents, most children are not as calm as Akintade. They want a break. So we have 5 bedrooms there that children can, 2 of them are en suite, so they can stay there. While children, some children want to travel, there's nowhere to put your autistic adults, so they'll be able to have a supported living there. The staff there, the registered manager, the carers specially trained for them to stay with them, and there'll be 24-hour care there for them to stay. So it's just in a nice building. So then my aim is to get a van to take them to all activities eventually.
After all the battle, heartache, emotional stress and more, Felicia says she has gained the best and possibly only thing she ever wanted: for her son to live and function at the family home with her and his siblings.
The biggest reward that's come out of that, but the biggest achievement in all these fights for Akintade is I'm able to live with my son. And my son is not living away from home. I'm not saying it's not very easy when you have to part with your child, but if he hadn't for all the education and all the support and everything that he's had over the years, we wouldn't have been able to live with. He's calm, he's compliant, he's contented. He doesn't give us any problem. Even his brothers, they say he's too contented, he's too lazy to be autistic. Do I think he's autistic? This is all because of what he has learned over the years. We're able to live with him as a family. I'm able to get help. And I'm able to further my career, because all that I have achieved, if I didn't have help for Akintade, I wouldn't have been able to work. I wouldn't, you can have your career, you can have a first class. If you have a child that is needy, there's no time to do. So the biggest achievement is keeping my family together, keeping my career together, living with my son, seeing my son, and being able to, care for my son effectively.